Hello and welcome to the Too Much Time on Our Hands podcast. You're joining us on Halloween, woo! The spookiest night of the year, which is why this week we're going to be looking at creepy, scary effects from whatever media. And so we're specifically talking about
characters as well.
Yeah,
characters, creatures, whatever we fancy.
Creepy, scary effects, characters, creatures from movies, video games, TV shows, whatever. You know, very fitting for Halloween. I'm sure that there are some people at the moment either planning to, after this, obviously, because I'm going to watch this first, watch some scary movies, watch some scary TV shows, we don't know, whatever you're doing, play some horror games. There's some great ones out there at the moment. But look, there's only three of us at the moment. Dan is probably going to be joining us at some point, but we'll do the introductions as we have right now. So hello, Russ.
Sup.
Sup-a-doodle-doo. Hello, Duncan.
Happy Halloween, everyone, or Samhain, depending, and welcome to winter, because traditionally this was the actual start of winter.
Well, there we go. This is the Halloween, is it not?
Is that our kind of pagan tradition root of this?
Yeah.
It's like the beginning of winter festival.
Yeah, Samhain was the beginning of the beginning of winter, hence why the winter solstice is called midwinter, because it's midwinter, and summer was started at Beltane, and that's why
it's an Eldar craft world,
summer
isn't it?
Solstice is called midsummer.
There we go.
It's actually technically the middle of summer. Anyway, August is like...
And this, of course, is why the Too Much Time on Our Hands podcast has been given the educational grant that we have just in the last budget. Page 139. You'll see us listed there.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, I
Thanks,
could do that. It would be nice. It's a good additional job. It would be good. Anyway,
Excellent.
Hi, Tom.
Anyway,
and also, hi, Handy.
Hi, Handies. Yes, I am Tom, and as I said, Dan will be joining us at some point. He is he's going to make his entrance. Yeah, and it's going to probably be scary.
Riding bareback across the moors, backlit by the moon.
And it's going to be a scary entrance. Dan said that it's going to be terrifying and involve some practical effects, maybe some pyrotechnics, and maybe a laser show, the likes of which the Pink Floyd would be jealous of.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to be very disappointed if he doesn't do that.
Yeah.
He is literally chasing the devil. The devil's running scared because Dan has lots to say about the bears.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So yeah, as I said, we're going to be looking at scary, creepy characters, effects, and going through some of our favourite ones. So, Ross, Duncan, who wants to go first? Shall we throw this out to Russ?
Okay.
So at the top. We'll work our way down.
So I'm not a huge horror person, so I don't tend to watch lots of horror. But the sort of scary things I do watch tend to like stick with me, and in particular, like sort of like little moments from them, and something that I've always that like is like a thing that will pop up in my head every now and then is so in the was it a TV adaptation or a movie? I can't remember of it. So not the recent one, the older one. I think it was it 2 movies or was it like 2 long TV shows? I genuinely can't remember. But there is the bit where the girl is in the bathroom with and then there's like this bubble, like balloon of blood comes up out of the sink. Do you remember the bit I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do remember the bit you're talking about.
So it looks like a balloon, it like swells up and swells up and swells up and swells up, and then it bursts and like hoses the whole room and her with blood. But then the bit that really freaks you out is that like she screams and like her father comes in, but he can't see it. So he's just acting totally normal, but like moving around in this bathroom. He's getting covered in all this blood as well. She's dripping with it, but he can't see it or feel it or notice it. So he's just like completely like, oh, come on, there's nothing. She just had a bit of a dream or something. He like strokes her hair, but his hand is covered in blood and dripping gore at this point. It's so freaky. That's a moment that really,
it's very good as well because those kind of like big practical effects where there's like shitloads of blood all over the place and you've got one character acting completely against the sort of what you'd establish as a norm for that much blood. I always find those things really creepy, especially when it's like it's a film like It, which does blur that line between what's real and what's not. What's a hallucination, that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's a good moment. That's a really fucked up moment.
Because you can't quite tell. Like it really looks like, I think deliberately it looks like a balloon at first. Until
Well, yeah,
pops and
to tie into It with his balloons and stuff in it. It almost reminds me of that bit in fucking what is it? Nightmare on Elm Street, where Johnny Depp's character gets pulled into his bed, and it's almost like the tip of a volcano kind of almost emerges from the bed that he's been pulled into, and it just is like this geyser of blood, like it fucking goes everywhere.
Daniel,
Kind of like those. Ah,
Hi guys.
he has
Dan
arrived.
has joined us. We thought you were going to be much later than this, but look at this. Here
Hello.
he is.
Hey. All I'd say, Tom, is God damn, God bless. Go get undressed. You better count your rosary. Divine intervention won't save a soul like me.
Excellent. There we go.
Sangavore by Creeper is a work of fucking art.
Very nice. Dan,
Hello.
hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, Handies. Dan is here.
Hey, Andy. How we doing?
So Russ has kicked us off tonight, Dan, with a practical effect from the It series with the big blood balloon that comes out the sink.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, gross, grody.
Very gribbly.
It's not pleasant.
No. Random light, shine your light. Duncan, take us through on your next. Well, not your next, your first one. Take us through on the next one, your first one.
So, this is not a horror movie, but at the time, I think it would have been creepy. And even when you first see it in like the 80s, it's something else.
This Paw
It's
Patrol
the
the movie.
skeletons.
Is it the myxomatosis rabbits?
Though in real life, those are also
Yeah.
terrifying. We had a rabbit with myxomatosis. It's great.
Yeah, it's very sad. It's good.
Really, what you need to do is stop your rabbit eating like a cheese toasty, a cheese and tomato toasty, and a ham toasty. Because then it's just mixing his toasties.
What's the
Very
effect,
good.
Duncan?
So what's the effect, Duncan?
That is almost
you-
so painful it's enjoyable.
You
Almost.
sidetracked me. Both of you. It's not my fault. You
Skip
both.
to the end.
Fuck the lot of you.
Oh,
What is it?
only if you're good.
The skeletons in Jason and the Argonauts.
Oh, good
Yeah.
choice.
The
Nice.
animation.
Yeah.
Is amazing. Even now, it just it just features in. It just always features in the mind. It's a great monster, and also just the acting in it is fantastic because you feel like they are just because the nature of the animation is so good that they look real, and I think it's one of the best. I still think it holds up to this day as genuinely a good creepy bit, a nice action creepy bit, and I know it's not a horror movie, but it.
No, they are proper scary though. Like
Let's-
it
I
really
mean-
does hold up.
Any Ray Harryhausen will probably be top of anything we're about to talk about tonight anyway. So yeah.
Also,
if you
stop
go back and
motion
watch it, like you say,
works
it
for that.
it really does. Like they don't look quite real, and that is so. Stop motion has no motion blur in it, so things don't look real. It's like they're being filmed at a higher frame rate than the rest of the world that they're in. So you got the person when they're moving, their arm blurs, but the skeleton, it's a picture of it there, a picture of it there, a picture of it there. But for some things, it adds to it, and I think it really does in that scene because it just makes them feel like the way they move is really unworldly and unsettling. And yeah, like you say, the animation is just absolutely perfect because that's done with no motion capture or any bullshit like that. That is people moving little fucking wire models of skeletons, one frame at a time, painstakingly taking photos of it. So the sort of the understanding of like movement and you know,
And where
momentum
the
and
people
weight
are-
that you have behind things is unbelievable to be able to do something like that.
and
It's
then
so
where the
difficult
people
to
are
do.
going to be
Mm.
to fight it, because the fear that how they kind of rise up, it's just more that the way they just suddenly rise up and then they keep on marching, and you can see that you're like, okay, how do you actually overcome this? How do you
Yeah.
fight this? This is undead.
Yeah, it's very well
And,
acted as well. Because
yeah.
like these days, like if you're doing a thing like that these days, like your actor can put on a set of VR goggles and see like a mock-up of the creature that they're going to be fighting, and like see how it's moving, and like from their perspective, and then take the goggles off and just repeat what they did. But there was none of that back then, obviously.
No, it's fucking classic, that one. It's interesting though, isn't it? Because all the other stop motion effects in Jason and the Argonauts, I don't think hold up as well. But the skeletons, they are the ones that, if anyone says Jason and the Argonauts, that's usually the go-to
That's what you
scene
think
when
of,
they're
yeah.
fighting the
I don't
skeletons.
know, man. I think it all kind of holds up.
I mean, it's an
No,
incredible
well, no,
film,
but I mean,
like,
but
they're the
I mean,
standout moment.
it's the standout moment, because I think you kind of think skeletons coming to life dry and no cartilage. They're going to be jerky, creaky, ugh. But everything else that's like living and fleshy, and the Hydra and the big monsters and all that sort of stuff, like Russ says, there's no blur with those. But the skeletons, like, you just think, fucking hell, like, I mean, had some bad dreams about that.
Can we
Although
just
it does always remind me of that bit in Alpha Papa where Alan Partridge is having his like blackout moment, and he sort of a load of Allens take off their masks as the SWAT team. It's like, I'm Jason Statham, Jason Argonaut. What? It's Jason and the Argonaut. Like, anyway, weird.
Can we just stop for a moment to say that Tom just said Skellington, which
Skellingtons.
made me laugh a lot.
Yeah.
And also, that reminds you, Jason Argon reminds me of Birdhouse in Your Soul by They Might Be Giants.
Oh, yeah.
With the lyrics, my favourite verse of all time. There's a picture opposite me of my primitive ancestry, which stood on rocky shores and kept the beaches shipwreck free. Though I respect that a lot, I'd be fired if that were my job after killing Jason off and countless screaming Argonauts. Every time that gets me.
It's Jason and the Argonauts.
Anyway.
Can I jump in with another stop motion
Please do.
that has stuck
No.
with me forever? So, rightly or wrongly, I know that some around this table will say wrongly, I prefer, of the two Terminator films, by a hair, the first Terminator film, The Terminator.
The wanker's answer.
Because it's,
So you've not seen the second one then?
no. So I've seen the second one, but like Alien and Aliens,
They're the same film, except Terminator
Alien
is
is
better.
no, they're not the same film. Alien is a horror film. Aliens is an action horror film.
Yeah.
And in the same way, The Terminator is a horror film. Terminator 2 is an action horror film, I would say.
They're both
think-
action horror films.
I think
Like, there's more of it with Alien and Aliens. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Like, one's a sci-fi horror, one's a sci-fi action.
I would argue that the Terminator, Arnie's Terminator from the first Terminator film, is a thing of horror.
He's like he's a sort of your classic monster, but I think in my opinion, it leans more towards
Okay.
action than horror.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the bit that always gets me, and I'm not going to talk about the weird Arnie puppet head, because that bit is a practical effect that does not stand up to this
Yeah.
day. And probably at the time, people were a bit like, hang on a sec, that's definitely not fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger's head right there. That's definitely a rubber puppet head. Especially when it very awkwardly twists its neck to put its sunglasses on and, like, awkwardly does its hair and stuff. No, I'm talking about the bit at the end where the endoskeleton, the Terminator's finally, like, in the truck explosion, has lost its flesh sheath, which is a funny word, and rises out of the garbage that is left in the middle of the road and starts pursuing them. And what I love so much is that the actual life-size endoskeleton prop rises out and looks fucking amazing, because it does. And then almost immediately it switches to the stop motion version of the Terminator running through. And every now and then we'll go back to the prop thing when it wants to show them. Yeah, but it is jerky and clanky, and it is terrifying, and it's almost like faster than the human version has been moving, and it all kind of I don't know why, but it always throws me off kilter, that bit, and it's all a bit strange. Also, so that's my bet. But also, I just want to say the time signature of the theme music for the Terminator compared to Terminator 2, it is completely different as well. I saw a thing recently. So the second one starts with the dun 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 dun, you know, and then it's dun dun dun, you know, in time with the music. Whereas in the first one, listen to the weird time signature. It's so it's still got the dun 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 dun, and then the music is all offbeat and it's all very odd, and I don't know. It kind of stuck in my head as well. So I'm just going to hijack
bit
there.
Shitter. That's what you're saying.
They couldn't play the music properly.
Yeah, so it was done by a twat.
It was the original. No, right.
No, Tom, you can't have Terminator being better than Terminator 2 because it's not. Okay.
No,
you said some words
I
after then, but that was where you lost me.
No, I didn't say it was better. I said I preferred. I said I preferred the Terminator.
Okay, sorry. Let me rephrase that. Your opinion is wrong.
Right.
Terminator 2 is the one you should prefer.
Yeah. So you're calling bullshit. How is my opinion bullshit? Yeah, it's wrong.
Just is, all right.
It just is, okay?
It's just a contrarian hipster you.
Mine's
yes.
actually the TV series with Summer Glau.
The Sarah Connor Chronicles.
That's my favourite. I think that's the best Terminator story.
I've never watched that, but
It's actually quite
a lot
good.
of people do actually say it is
got its
really
moments.
good. It's some of the best Terminator stuff.
Yeah, it's not bad.
I never expected Shirley Manson, the lead singer of it was Garbage, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
I never
who knows?
expected her to make. I mean, to be fair, if you want someone to play a soulless machine, you know, with all the sort of flat acting that you'd expect from that sort of thing, like Shirley Manson did a great job, I think, as a T1001, I think was her model designation, wasn't it? She wasn't a T1000. She's like a hyper advanced version of the T1000.
Well, it can't be that hyper. It's just T1001. That's just like one model up, isn't it?
She's able to keep parts of herself of her metal body separate. I think she has like an eel, which turns out to be actually part of her self in a. I don't even understand why. Like, it's one of those things where you just don't understand. It's also like there's a scene where she needs to kill someone, a guy. So she hides in the men's room, disguised as a urinal, and waits for him to go for a piss, and then as soon as he's having a piss, kills him. Like, it's
There
crazy.
were other ways to kill that guy.
Super
presumably.
robot sent from the future that could quite easily just kill a human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how you're going to do it, isn't
So,
it?
Yeah.
my plan is, I'm gonna put, and then just after I start getting pissed on, then I'll kill him.
Yeah.
So,
Pardon?
So
You don't need to.
Super
No,
advanced.
I hear you. So I'll just wait until I start getting pissed on, let it all trickle down a bit, and then I'll kill him.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
also,
if you want to.
you know, the model before could turn into people, which seemed a really effective way.
But canonically couldn't turn into a urinal.
Yeah. But although could turn into a
Piece of
a
floor.
vinyl floor,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just not urinal. He just couldn't get his head on it.
not a urinal.
Yeah.
I was kind of, yeah. I mean, how, you know, just turn yourself into a wall. You know, sooner or later, your target's going to walk past, and they're probably not going to piss on you. So
So why
You
bother
know.
doing it?
why bother doing it? Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess. Like,
I think it wasn't until the T2015 that in the patch notes they were like, removed irrational desire to be pissed on before murdering anyone.
yeah, it's the toilet protocol, isn't it? It's like, where are humans at their most vulnerable? Like when they're about to have a wee wee or a poo poo.
Have you seen this kid? And is he hydrated?
Yeah.
Damn it, we've included.
Which men's room is this kid in?
We've included the. Oh, damn it, we've included the golden shower fetish patch. Come on, gotta get rid of that one.
Yeah, just gotta gargle some urine, and then I'm gonna kill the guy. Anyway, You're in
it'd be very-
gardening aside, Dan.
Okay, so I mean, I'll just follow on with that. One of my ones was actually, so after Terminator 1, there was actually this film that's slightly better called Terminator 2. And
I preferred
it's,
it.
yeah. Any
it
of
was
the
good.
T1000 effects were at the time and kind of hold up a little bit, but they were terrifying.
I'd say they still hold up.
They hold it like they. It was at the sweet spot of CGI where they knew how limited, like they knew how
Yeah.
difficult it was and how limited it was, and it cost so much money and so much time to
Yeah.
do that if you could possibly not do it in CGI, you didn't.
Yeah.
And they only did what they knew would look good.
Yep.
So, you know, that's why stuff like the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, there's only like 12 CGI shots in Jurassic
Yeah.
Park compared to like
It's-
4,000 in a current one.
It's also
So-
why they didn't CGI the blind guy in Sneakers as well.
Yeah,
So yeah.
just knew they couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're like, they're still like textbook examples of CGI creature design, aren't they?
Yeah.
The bit where he's going through the bars and his gun gets stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
So cool. I love the helicopter as well. The bit in the helicopter.
Or he sort of pour, like, doesn't he like headbutt
The
the
third
window
arm.
and then pours
Yeah.
in through it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the
awesome.
blink and you'll miss it third arm.
Yeah. And just the bit where he's frozen and he's just like, oh. Just anytime he's shot as well, that effect is so cool.
Oh my god, those are squibs,
Yeah.
but with like kind of super highly reflective things that pop out of them.
What a great idea.
Amazing. Oh, and the bit where he gets shot when he's chasing them out of the mental hospital in the lift, and he gets shot in the face with a shotgun, and it splits. That's practical. That's not CGI.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, obviously the bit where it comes back together and turns back into Robert Patrick. That's CGI. But again, Russ, like you say, if they couldn't have done the wavy head thing.
Well, that's why.
Yeah.
So that shot, that is why he is in a lift at that point, because they knew that they couldn't do accurate reflection mapping of a whole environment. So he's in a box with featureless walls and just a couple of flashing fluorescent lights on the top. So that's relatively easy to do as like reflection and environment mapping and stuff.
You mean when he comes out in his liquid blob?
Where he gets like blasted in half by the shotgun and then he sort of himself back together again. So they couldn't.
Tell you what else other effects is good. The slight wah Slash puts on his guitar in the song You Could Be Mine, sorry. The Guns N' Roses soundtrack, which is one of the greatest fucking soundtrack songs ever.
The slight
Oh, it's
wah.
so good.
You could
Be mine.
I do like how through Terminator 2, they, at least the first kind of act of it, they bait and switch you every time, not really knowing whether Arnie or this new slight person is the evil one, like the one out to kill. Because right up until that, I mean, when I first saw it, right up until that point where he goes into the back rooms of the mall and pulls out the shotgun out the roses.
Oh, it's so cool.
I was like, oh fucking hell! Like they're literally rounding the corner. I have no idea, like what's going to happen here. Like who's who? You sort of assume that because it's not Arnie, it's whoever's the. Dan, what are you doing? You keep disappearing off camera to
Tom, I'm sucking dick.
like your own. You finally got there. You've achieved. I see. You've achieved what all men attempt to do. What a Halloween this is.
I mean, the very beginning of T2 was with the army crossing the skulls. That that still holds up. That is
With the
phenomenal.
derpy look it gives the camera as well, like
Yeah.
in Signs.
And it's obvious, you know, that's where the Necrons came from. They were like,
Oh, yeah.
that, have that one, and
They had a rule called "We'll be back." Yes.
and it's just the whole atomic bomb explosion where they get
Oh, it's
vaporized
fucking
in
awesome.
the park, and
That's a nightmare.
I mean the whole of that movie essentially stays with you because of the horror, and the horror stays all the way up. And then the horror actually gets worse when you move through the subsequent Terminators because they are so horrifically bad.
Yeah, they're not good. They are really bad.
They never
I don't
quite
know,
recaptured the magic, did they?
I found I thought in Terminator 3 I
Oh,
quite
fuck's
like
sake, not another contrarian.
no, I mean no, I mean if you're just going for character design, I quite like the idea of the TX. I quite like the idea of an endoskeleton with the mimetic polyalloy over the top of it, you know, sort of hiding incorporated weapons and stuff. It felt like the logical progression. You know, it's like almost predicting hybrid cars. If you think about it, you sort of have the diesel T1000s, the super snazzy electric T1000s, and then you've got a sort of a blend somewhere in the middle of the sort of the TX, which is like almost bridging technology. Something else is next.
Nice.
Yeah, I quite like
They
it.
kind of like the time travel aspect of it really fucks them over plot wise for doing sequels and stuff.
Well, it's just it gets too crowded.
Hmm.
You know, because the timelines start to get all fucked up, and there's too many. I mean, I think there was one of the games. I can't remember what it's called. It's called Future Shock by Bethesda. Like Bethesda were doing Terminator games. Like, wait, they did Terminator Rampage, then they did Future Shock. And in Future Shock, part of the plot element is you as a resistance fighter suddenly encountering like Terminator armies appearing out of nowhere while you're fighting in the sort of the war in the future, and realizing that Skynet is using time travel, and eventually finding out that Skynet in the future was sending information back to itself in the past that eventually caused it to go sentient. And so it's almost it's a really odd one because it's like it's basically Skynet turns itself sentient in the past to make sure, so you know that always has to happen. And it was kind of weird, and I don't think they canonized it, but I always quite like the idea that Skynet would always exist. Like it's always going to happen. Like it's always going to go sentient. It's always going to destroy pretty much all of the human race. I quite like that. That was always quite a cool idea. But yeah, it does get a bit cluttered. It gets a lot cluttered. And then Dark Fate, I think it was, whichever fucking one that was, showed us that Terminator's age.
That wasn't Dark Fate. That's the new
Was that not Dark
one.
Fate? I can't remember what it was called.
Dark Fate is the one that's got Mackenzie Davis in it. Is it Genesis or something?
Genesis.
It's basically like if you want to have Schwarzenegger in your Terminator movie, you have to think of a reason why this robot is now older.
Yeah. And he's been married. Been married for 17 years to a woman. Like, you know,
To a toaster.
yeah. Crazy.
To a fracking toaster.
A fracking toaster. Anyway, sorry, we've wanked on quite a bit about the Terminator there.
They are great, to be fair.
They are. One a hair in my preference. Yeah. But anyway, Russ.
Okay,
The
so
mic is yours.
a really excellent gross scene that I quite enjoy is the fight scene at the end of the first Fly movie.
Ooh, yes.
Like the Cronenberg Fly movie, where he
They do another Fly movie.
wasn't there? There was one. There was one in like the 50s, wasn't there?
Oh, yeah, okay. That's fine.
But
Probably
yeah,
remade
where
it or something.
Goldblum's like fighting that guy. I don't know who he is, and he uses his like acidic fly vomit to like melt the dude's hand. It's so gross. It's so well done. I think the guy's like he's got a gun or something and is bound to kill him. So yeah, he goes bleh, and properly like dissolves his hand in this hyper acidic vomit. And then when he's lying on the ground, like going into shock because his hand's just been dissolved, he kind of gets his leg and then like looks at the guy, makes eye contact, and then does the same thing to his ankle, and it just like melts through his leg. And there's a bit where he's like leaning over, he's going, like wobbling it a little bit to sort of see if it's ready to come. And pulls it off. It's so disgusting. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Well worth looking up on YouTube.
So
But
gross.
the effect, like the practical effects on that are brilliant. Or like the layers of stuff just melting through.
That's so gross.
And for just like general slimy, horrific creature effects in general, that film is hard to beat.
Cronenberg's kind of the master at that.
Yeah.
I urge everyone to at some point watch The Substance once.
What's is that a recent?
Yeah, it's Cronenbergian body horror, and it is fucking brilliant. It is probably the best horror film I've seen this year, although I slightly prefer Late Night with the Devil. It is so messed up. I never want to watch it again, but I loved it.
I don't know if
Demi Moore's best role ever.
I don't know if you've seen it. I'm sure you have because you are a bit of a cinephile. But I had a few hours to myself today when the wife and son went out, and I watched a horror movie because I wanted to get into the Halloween spirit. And I watched Smile,
Yeah,
and
I went
I
to see the second one this week.
thought it was fucking awesome.
So
I thought it was a great film.
I did until the end.
Yeah, the end. Yeah, it was a bit
I don't
jarring.
want to give anything away, but the end was
No.
like, I did not need to see that.
Yeah, I agree. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I was invested the whole way, properly invested. It was like It Follows. Actually, It Follows.
It's
I didn't
very
like
similar.
the end, but
Yeah.
I loved the ride. The ride was awesome. I really enjoyed it all.
I would suggest, Tom, the second one I think is even better.
Sorry, say again.
The second one's even better, I think.
Really?
It follows a pop star,
Oh, okay.
like going through some shit, basically, and it is really, really good. But it's the best thing about Smile is it kind of does. It's a bit jump scary, and I'm not the biggest fan of them. I think it's a bit cheap most of the time, but it does it right, and it kind of earns the jump scares as well, just by being super creepy throughout most of the film as well.
Yeah,
I'm going to see Heretic tomorrow. That's what I'm really excited
Oh,
about.
nice. Yeah. Just on Smart. Yeah, I think you're right. I didn't feel at any point that a jump scare was just being thrown in
Yeah.
to get me back on track. I felt like everything that was happening in between any of the scares that were really quite prominent
Yeah.
was all very good, well acted, high tension kind
Yeah.
of stuff. Lots of and I had to say for a film like that, not very much exposition. There weren't people sort of randomly sort of explaining to each other, oh hey, this is something like we've seen in people before. Don't you remember those people were complaining about headaches and smiling? There was none of that bullshit. It was just
Well, he
you
was
felt like-
quite happy. Yeah.
yeah, you felt like I really did feel like the main character was alone.
Yeah. She was fucking
Even-
struggling. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
even
true.
when surrounded by people, she was alone.
Do you know what I hate? Anytime anyone goes to a library to find something out in a horror film, no one goes to a library anymore.
No.
Don't do this. I'm looking in your direction, Night Swim, you piece of shit. Like, that film was fucking awful, but yeah.
Yeah, just go, open your laptop, or look at your phone,
Yes.
Google.
Yeah. There you go.
Ross, send them that link. The let me Google that for you thing.
Yeah.
Just send that to them. All good. Simple.
It's fucking, yeah. Yeah, don't watch Night Swim. That's terrible.
No.
Do watch Late Night with the Devil if you get a chance. That film is incredible. Like, a really, really good horror film. Imagine Alan Partridge, but it's horror.
Oh, I like the sound of that.
Yeah, that is exactly what it is. I'll send you a link for a trailer, but it is someone. Mark Kermode even described it as Alan Partridge, but horror. Basically, it is really, really good.
That sounds
Yeah,
really
that does
good.
look amazing.
I have to say as well, by the way, if anyone's on Audible, I have to recommend series 3 of From the Oast House, Alan Partridge's, like the Alan Partridge podcast that arrived during the COVID lockdowns.
Yeah,
The third series is up there, and I know there's a fourth one on the way. It is epitomized for me in one segment where he's talking about favorite personal days, like the best personal day, and he goes off on some weird tangent of his own personal day of, like, having a curry and going out with some friends and whiskey and listening to folk music and all that sort of stuff. and then someone else writes in and is saying sort of, you know, I go to X, Y, and Z and stuff like that. He then gets completely sidetracked because someone includes in their story about their perfect day of they say South Central LA. He gets completely sidetracked by going South Central LA. Well, what is it? Is it either South or is it Central LA? It can't be both. It can't be South Central LA. He gets completely sidetracked. Then remembers what he's doing and goes, anyway, sorry, personal days. We've got Paul from Enfield here who says crisps and wanking. and then ends the segment and moves on to the next thing. And I just for me, I can't think of anything that more perfectly encapsulates Alan Partridge than that. Like
Just going off on a tangent and then coming back with something
coming
just
back with-
really inane. Yeah,
completely no. It's perfect. Can't advise it enough.
I love Alan Partridge. Like
Okay,
that,
me
those series he did, where he's doing the one show essentially.
Oh,
I can't remember what it's called.
This time.
Just great. The Lookalikes episode is fucking phenomenal. His lookalike singing.
yeah. The yeah. Aha! What is he? That's what you're saying. Like, he's got one eye that's like looking off to the side.
It's so good.
And the bit with the seals. Oh, isn't he cute? I don't know whether to eat him or wear him.
Oh, it's so good. It is. Yeah. If you've never watched, just watch Alan Partridge. There's so many different things they've done, and it's all good. So there's that. So, yeah.
Yeah, this time it's fun. There's that amazingly long introduction, isn't it? Like where it goes where they're sort of walking through this. You know, they're doing one of those single track things, and he goes, "So come, spend some time this time on this." I'll fucking know. I'm gonna find the quote because it's so well written. I'll find the quote. But anyway, let's move on. Duncan, your next go. Let's go. Keep this going.
So, I'll upfront say I'm not really a big horror fan. I don't generally do it because it gives me nightmares, and I can create those myself. I don't need too much simulation to do that. So, I'm gonna pick something soft. I obviously don't like zombies at all. So 28 Days Later, don't like those ones. They run. I don't like that. Romero zombies, because they just shuffle. So I'm going to go with the effects still in Shaun of the Dead. Like how they do the zombies, the blood, the transformation, like everything in that. It's because, you know, at the time there were graphics and all the special effects were getting more, but that kind of took it back to a more realistic, kind of nice, good makeup, good design, and still proper creepy, but also hilariously funny. But in a way of you can tell it's a bit too far, and you're like, oh, they're not real, but at the same time, just realistic enough to keep it nicely in touch. We go, this is kind of what a zombie apocalypse really would look like. No one's really perfectly made up and everything. So I just thought it was good zombie. In my opinion, it was good zombie because it was scary, still scary enough where I have to be in the right mood to be able to watch it. I'm like, nah, if I catch it at the wrong time, or if it's on TV and it's partway through, I'm like, I can't do that.
Yeah, they are good zombie though, like I say, because they're just it's just makeup and costumes. I think the only
really good.
The only sort of CGI stuff they really did was like blood spurts and things like that, and obviously the bit where that girl falls backwards on like the washing machine holder, and like apple cores herself, and then stands up, and then you get that amazing shot where she turns around and you can see them going, oh,
and he's winding the camera.
Isn't Joe Cornish one of the zombies at the end from the Adam and Joe show?
Pretty much, like everyone is. There's a whole bunch of like their mates in.
Tyres is in there.
Tyres is the only zombie who's not dressed in like brown and grey clothes. He's wearing his neon biker's courier outfit.
Be lucky.
Yeah, Adam and Joe are in there. I think a bunch of other people are as well.
I actually, one of the coolest little effects I really like in it is where they're going home from the night out just the night it starts, and they're like, "Oh, a nice romantic couple," and then it just bites through the neck and the head falls off.
Yeah,
and they're not watching. I love that bit. That is quite funny, gruesome but funny.
And the Although I have to say the bit where they are where they're shooting and killing all the zombies in the Winchester to "Don't Stop Me Now" by Queen, like that is brilliant. I mean, the effects in that, the way it's cut and put together is chef's kiss. It's just so unexpectedly perfect, and that sudden moment where the jukebox gets destroyed and it all goes deathly quiet for just that moment, and then it's almost, you get the atmospheric sound of what's going on that has just been drowned out by all that music, and you realize that this is fucking horrifying. Yeah, it's pretty badass. Also, Pete, oi prick. No, he's not in.
I love when he calls his mum. Some people broke in. Well, they were a bit bitey.
Yeah. Oh my God, Mum, have you been bitten? No, but Philip has. Oh, okay, thank God.
That film is great.
I also like how his apologies to Philip get shorter and shorter during the sort of the planning sequence. I'm so sorry, Philip. Sorry, Philip.
Kill
sorry.
Philip.
Kill Phil.
Yeah. And wait for all this to blow over.
Yeah. I love it.
Where can I smoke? Anyway.
Yeah.
Very good one, Duncan. I could fucking talk about Shaun of the Dead forever.
It's great, yeah. Exceptional.
If we're staying in a zombie wheelhouse as well, so you mentioned 28 Days Later.
Yeah.
The opening, one of the things that is scariest about stuff sometimes is when it's something familiar that's a bit wrong.
Yeah.
So all those opening shots of London completely deserted.
Love it.
So good. And they did it just by getting up fucking early in the morning. Doing there's a bit of painting out of, milk floats and postman's vans and things, but for the most part they just got up really early and in the middle of summer when it was light early and there was nobody around.
Do you think they had to? Do you think they had to close any? They must have had to close some roads.
No, I don't think they could.
I don't think they closed
anything. They didn't closing down a road in the middle of London is not something they had the budget for.
Big deal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Also, the general effects of the zombies in that film were great.
Oh,
they're terrifying.
They're some of the scariest zombies in film.
Yeah.
Like they shit on, World War Z zombies.
Yeah.
And they're the World War Z ones, they're too CGI. They look fake when they're it's quite cool when they're crashing on things like waves and stuff, but they just don't look real. They don't feel like they've got any weight behind them.
This felt the modern inspiration for most zombies, and that includes things like Last of Us. I think probably 100%. Took quite a lot from 28 Days Later,
they're
the noises and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, super fast. That scene when he goes into the church, and he goes, "Hello," and suddenly, 3 or 4 zombies just straight on him. They wake up. All of them.
Belt one of them around the head with a plastic bag with a can of Fanta in it.
Yeah. Yeah. God, that whole film tight as a drum, isn't it?
It really is. Yeah, it's good.
A heartbreaking moment when Brendan Gleeson gets infected as well, and then when you find the soldiers are fucking wrong-uns as well. Oh God, it's so good.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess it's just. I mean, you can just see the influences of things like Last of Us, like the soldiers are almost like the survivors that are cannibalizing each other. you know, and
they're-
it's just desperation for survival, and it's awful. It's they're bleak, horrible
They're
stories.
dressing up the women to do something very bad to them. So yeah,
But, I mean, that's the thing. They think they're going to repopulate the UK, which is just it's slavery. It's fucking.
because there's the
God,
one
it's
that's
horrible.
locked up.
Yeah.
Who talks about like, have you not seen? Look in the sky. Have you not seen the planes? It's like that. There are. It's just. It's essentially just here. Is what they're trying to say, isn't it? I'm looking forward to 28 years later, which is the new one. But yeah,
That's the thing, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
in 28 weeks later,
Yeah.
the virus had been largely it was contained to the
Yeah.
British Isles, wasn't it? Like
Yeah.
mainly mainland UK.
zombies tried to probably get through customs, and that should contain most zombies, to be honest with you, because it's a fucking nightmare now. But yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it
Just get
depends
them to
how-
work on the desks.
It depends. I was going to say it depends how calmly and quietly like a rage infected human can stand in line for that long without going. I mean, my patience wears thin after about 10 minutes in those
Yeah.
fucking passport
Because
queues.
they're not strictly speaking zombies, are they? They're not reanimated corpses. They're just
No.
people.
rage
infected
infected
with disease.
people.
Which again is exactly what Dan says. Like as a you know, an influence for The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Last of Us, they're not zombies. They're cordyceps fungal infection.
They are.
But
I think I was going to put them on the list as well, even though
Yeah.
I've never actually played Last of Us, not being a PlayStation person. But yeah, the look
worth
of
it.
those things. So is it clickers they call them?
Clickers with
Yeah.
the
The clickers are bad,
So
but
good.
but then they're only not zombies because it's ridiculous to say zombies though. That's the only reason. Like in any of these films, they're not called zombies now. It's because it's
Yeah.
silly to say zombies.
Don't
So-
say that word.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the only reason they don't put they're not called zombies in any of these films. But yeah,
But it's but we all know.
they are essentially zombies. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're zombies. Yeah.
And we all, I mean, one of my favorite podcasts we've ever done was that one that we ended up going on about Joel killing all the fireflies because the lighting in the hospital wasn't quite bright enough for him to see where he was going. And it was all just darkness induced rage. Ah! So, anyway, yeah.
Very good.
I mentioned it very briefly before you joined. Actually, I think before we went online, the fucking monsters from The Quiet Place.
Really?
Yeah, I think they're an awesome monster design. I think that there's a little bit of Demogorgon in there.
I was about to say.
Demogorgon with the big, you know, the sort of splitting
what came
heads and stuff.
first? Because they
I think it was
are
Stranger
reminiscent
Things.
of each other.
Pretty sad at Stranger Things.
Yeah, pretty sure it's Stranger Things. I think the Quiet Place monsters, they have those big long arms, and they have sort of they walk like gorillas and things. But they're what is it you said earlier, Russ? They're all ear.
They're all ear.
They're all ear. But I love the fact that they're, you know, almost that sort of twitching, weird kind of little bits of armor plating that move when they're trying to listen to anything that's going on. And the second they hear anything, they are on it. Like, I mean, they suddenly go from being big, you know, kind of pondering around like gorilla-like sort of things to fucking lightning fast killers. I just think they're a good design. I think they're a really good monster design. Yes, I think there's definitely some inspiration taken from maybe things like the Demogorgon and, you know, other monsters out there with the sort of the brown skin and the sort of plate-like movements and things like that. But like they are I just found them scary, like, especially when they're really close, because they're like clickers in The Last of Us. Like they can't see you, but they can hear you, and they zone in on you very quickly. And these just felt like a very nice evolution. I really like them. And also, there's a video game of The Quiet Place out, and I've been watching a few Let's Plays of people shitting themselves.
It's actually meant to be good.
It's supposed to be pretty good. And as a survival horror nut, I'm quite like that kind of the kind of the look of that. So I'm almost tempted
It looks
to.
very reminiscent of Alien Isolation, except like it's more like you've got to get from there to there and do a thing,
Yeah.
but you have to do it without making any noise.
Yeah, I don't think its AI is necessarily anywhere near as good as the Alien from Alien Isolation, but from what I've seen from the Let's Plays, it's very, you know, like you can
Like it'll be like walking right past somebody.
Yeah,
And it does
and
that thing where
you're-
it listens to the microphone on your controller as well. So if you go fuck, it will get
So
you.
you have to, yeah, you can set it up so you have to keep your fucking mouth shut. And some of the set pieces look pretty good as well. You know, it's sort of, yeah, the video game looks pretty good. I quite like the look of that. Yeah, they're good monsters. Yeah, they
Just to
they got me.
A Quiet Place came out in 2018, so and season 1 of Stranger Things came out in 2016. So you are very
Yeah,
right.
there we go.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just touching on that, the Demogorgon. That it's actually a practical head, isn't it? It's actually that they've managed to
believe
get
so,
with all
yeah.
those weird kind of things as the petal jaws open up and stuff. Like that was a good monster design as well. A little bit more humanoid. I mean, obviously
Well, it's a dude in a suit, isn't it?
it's a little bit more like a man.
But then that
proportionally.
also ties into like all the things that Stranger Things is referencing. It was a dude in a suit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
That's
not like
a good
Stranger
point.
Things didn't rip off a ton of other fucking things, is it? So don't worry. I shouldn't worry about it too.
Yeah. Yeah, but inspiration. Is it inspiration or is it just emulation?
They're both with Stranger Things, really.
Yeah, absolutely, and a bit of tribute. I like to think as
Yeah.
well. Not
That's absolutely fine. Does a grand job with that as well.
yeah,
Finds things we find scary and then uses it against them again.
absolutely. But yeah, that's my one. Dan. Scary
Okay,
stink.
got to wrap this up fairly soon. But the lady from The Ring, just the general kind of
Sadako.
like the way she moves has been emulated millions of times now since then. And I think just in general, I think they do a really good job of that. That is like one of those like
7 days.
you've never seen anything like that at that point. The way she
Yeah.
moved.
Yeah,
And it was genuinely creepy. Now
Yeah.
it's completely overdone, in fact.
massively
like-
played out.
Yeah, it was quite revolutionary at the time, wasn't it?
Yeah, at the time, now it's a bit of a joke, but at the time it was like, my God, that's terrifying the way she moves, because you just moved, looked human but moved unnaturally.
Yeah, which is that's such a good way of doing things.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's another movie that did something similar. So on that one, like she's filmed. She acts backwards and then they reverse the footage, so it ends
Yeah.
up with a very, like say, unnatural movement.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what the film's called, but they did something similar where they like the actor being the creature was like supported
Yeah,
by sort of like bars and things. So the way they moved, like their weight wasn't actually on their arms and legs in a natural way. So it felt, and they could like skitter up the wall a bit and stuff. And it was a similar sort of thing, just like making things a bit feel not right
yeah,
has such a huge effect if done well.
I agree. I think it's massive. Like it can be super creepy, and she was very creepy.
Yeah.
Like also someone coming out of a television has never not been scary, but they in each era of horror it feels like we've managed to progress that, and it gets scarier and scarier. So like when she literally walks out the TV, it doesn't look possible until she does it, but it looks so normal when she does that. Like she literally just puts a hand out the TV. She doesn't bust out the TV.
It's kind of, it's
jump
like,
out the TV.
it's
yeah,
happening before you really realise what's happening. Like the way it's
Yeah.
framed, it's like her hand is out the screen, but it's still, from the perspective of the camera, it's still within the corners of the screen. So like it could just be, that's what the shot is, and then you realise she's going over the edge of the thing and pulling herself out, but she's kind of like already out by the
Yeah.
time you realise what's happening.
It is very nicely foreshadowed by the fly coming out of
the
TV
tape.
a lot earlier.
Poltergeist as well, right? That happened in Poltergeist. Is
Yeah,
that right?
it had the electric hands and stuff
Yeah.
coming out. Yeah, I mean that by today's standard looks hammy. I think. Well, was it? Yeah. Yeah, I'm now thinking back to it, and also the horribly contorted horror faces of her victims.
Yeah,
They're a little bit cheesy at the start, aren't they? Yeah.
A little bit cheesy, but
It
still
works.
still stick with me. It's like again, like the dead body at the beginning of It Follows. You see a dead girl's torso, and as it pans down, you suddenly see that her leg is pulled right up and bent backwards on itself in a kind of weird scorpion tail-esque pose, and it's like, what the fuck killed her? It goes from being dead body to mangled dead body. What? Like unnatural weird angles and fucking scary.
Nice.
Yeah, agreed.
Dan, how much time have you got? Do you want me to wrap this up?
I probably should wrap this up.
We've been wangling on for quite a while now.
Fair play. Well, look, we have been throwing out some awesome, creepy, scary, practical effects, creatures, monsters, all the way through. And we'd love it if you would share yours with us too. So if you want to do that, head over to our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Use the handle @TMTOOH for all of those, and you will find us. And if you want to discuss it with other like-minded people, you can head to our Discord server. Just go to our Instagram bio, click on the link to the Discord server right there, and you'll find your way through, and you'll be able to join all the conversations that are going on over there. Dan, is there anything you would like to quickly add before we go?
There was a lot of talk that we might on Cinema Continues. I think that's what we call it now. That we were going to do like our favourite horror films of the year. We were actually just going to do a full pod of that. However, I don't know whether that's still going to happen. So keep an eye out for that. I'm trying to make it happen because I'd love to do that because I've seen some good horror films this year and I've seen some fucking awful horror films this year. So, and I'm going to see Heretic. So I'm probably going to want to talk about that because everything I'm hearing about that film is it's fucking incredible. So I'm going to see that tomorrow night and I'm very excited. So wasn't never really a massive horror fan, but now I'm like properly into it.
Absolutely, and I can't recommend if anyone is a horror video game fan and looking for a new challenge, the remake of Silent Hill 2 is, for me as a Silent Hill 2 fan from the old days, it's like I remember playing it, but it clearly isn't because it's clearly better and much easier to control, and the graphics are more interesting.
I'm also enjoying one of those things people are posting online where they've just modded the fog out.
Yeah,
and it's just like a sunny day.
Yeah, and it's like you completely nullified the whole point of the game.
I can hear something. Oh no, yeah, they're over there.
Oh no, there it is. Yeah, so it's just one of the mannequin things again. So yeah, let's wrap this up tighter than a mummy. Russ, goodbye.
Bye byes.
Duncan, goodbye.
Cheery bye.
Dan,
bye, handies.
Goodbye.
Bye, handies.
And it's goodbye from me, Tom. Goodbye, handies. Don't forget, you can listen to us on all good podcatchers, and you can watch us on YouTube if you head to our live tab on Too Much Time on Our Hands YouTube channel.
Do it.
And on that note, don't let the ghosts get into your bed with you and do that thing that they did to Dan Aykroyd in Ghostbusters.
No, let them do that. That was
let them
awesome.
do that. It's always quite good. Anyway, on that note, let's cue the music. Fucking ghosts.
Bye.